Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
I hope you're staying safe and healthy.
Yep.
Great, great. So thank you so much for joining today. Let's just get started.
Cool.
So I understand that you're currently working at Amazon as a software development engineer, right?
Yep.
So you've worked at Amazon for around 2 years now. So can you tell us a little about your journey and your career path?
Okay. Um, Before I go into my career, I completed, my education from BITS Goa, in 2014. I
Okay.
graduated in 2014. I did
Okay.
my engineering in electronics and instrumentation, right? So that was one thing where I didn't have training, or I didn't have exposure to computer science topics, data structures, algorithms, those things
Right.
in college. I had to learn those on the job. So
Yeah.
that was kind of a nice learning curve for me when I joined and when I became an SDE. However, after
Right.
college, I joined Morgan Stanley. I was there for about 3.5 years. Then I was at
Okay.
Walmart for a short time of about 7, 8 months, and as you
Yeah.
said, right, at Amazon for the last couple of years. Um,
Yeah.
Amazon has been, pretty nice. It's a great place to work. People are extremely smart. That's one thing that I look for when I join a company. The
Right.
group that I'm gonna work with, how smart, how passionate they are.
Yeah.
That's nice. And Amazon as a company overall, it's pretty good. It's allows you to innovate. It's not a mundane job where you are given tasks by your manager, you complete them and you move on. No, right? You innovate, you come up with your own thinking, you come up with your own uh, tasks that you want to perform, that you want to do for the company. So I think it has been a great journey for me so far.
Great, great. Okay. So, can you tell us what is your current role? Like, what do you work on?
Right. Um, so my team, we own the services that handle payments, or all the monetary relations that we have with the carriers who are transporting
Right.
Amazon's goods, right? So whether it be from, let's say, a factory to Amazon's warehouse, between Amazon warehouses, or from Amazon warehouse to the customers,
Right.
we have to pay the carriers, we have to do the accounting for them, we have to do all those things. That's handled
Okay.
by my team. And I think what's the challenging thing for us is, there are two things. One is obviously the scale. We got to handle the things at Amazon scale.
Right.
So just to give you an example, right? In On a daily basis, my service, we handle close to 300 million transactions, and
All
during the
right.
peak season, which is Christmas, Halloween, Prime Day, and all those things, we have
Yeah.
handled more than a billion
Yeah.
transactions in a single day. So we work at a crazy scale.
Okay.
That's a pretty interesting
Right.
challenge. That's the first thing. Second thing is, especially with regards to payments, with regards to money, we got to follow the
Yeah.
rules and regulations of the country where we are working, right? So there are certain rules that are different in US, are different in Canada, different in Europe. So we got to build our system in a way that's able to handle all of
Right.
those differing rules and differing legal obligations that we have in those countries.
Right. Right. Okay. So, moving on, let's can you just tell us about the interview process at your company for your role? Like, how many interview rounds are there?
Right. So generally, at Amazon, we have 5 rounds, and I'm talking this for an SDE role, whether you're SDE one,
Right.
SDE 2, SDE 3. In this family, we generally have about five
Yeah.
rounds, out of which 3 rounds are generally for coding, data structure, problem solving, those
Okay.
things. There's one round which would be on LLD, which is low level design, one round on high level design. And in all
All
of
right.
these rounds, we do have a certain amount of time kept aside, which is to ask you questions surrounding the leadership principles that Amazon has. Right? We have 14 of them,
Right.
and there are questions that are pertaining to those principles.
All right. Okay. So let's delve a little deeper into the interview process. Can you tell us what do the interviewers look for in each round, and what is the level or the type of questions that are asked?
Okay. So first, coming into the coding rounds, what we are, um, I think at a high level, what we are looking for are three things. First is whatever code you're writing, it has to be a workable code, right? That's the bare minimum
Right.
baseline that we are looking for. um, the
Yeah.
second thing after that, we look for the solution that has to be optimized. So for example, if something you have written in O of n square in terms of time complexity, if it can be brought down to n log n or n, um, we would expect that. We
Yeah.
would expect the efficient code from you. And finally,
Okay.
what we look for is that the code should be well written. It should be modular. It should be maintainable. So in short, right, it should be production quality code,
Yeah.
and it should be something that if I pick up and I directly deploy in production, it should work, and it should be something that any team is willing to take and maintain. So that's in the coding rounds.
Right.
Right? In the LLD round,
Yeah.
what we are generally trying to evaluate the candidates is on their grasp of object oriented programming, or OOPS concepts, right? Where
Right.
how are they creating their classes, what's the structure of the classes, what's the structure of their databases, how are they modeling that, how are they handling errors, exceptions, how
Right.
gracefully the system handles all that. So if I have to summarize, and
Yeah.
if I have to tell you, in an LLD round, what we are trying to see is how good the candidate is in terms of visualizing the structure of his code, his or her code, right?
All right.
Uh,
All right.
they should have that very nice understanding of
Right.
how the code looks like. So that's in
Yeah.
LLD. In HLD, right, we are generally looking at how well people are with the components. Something like load balancing. Do they know CAP theorem? Do they know things like difference between a relational database and a NoSQL? How do they handle scaling? How do they handle failure? How do they do failure handling? Those sort of things. So if I got to just compare,
Right.
right? So
Okay.
in LLD, where I'm saying that you got to visualize the structure of your code. In HLD, what you're doing is you have to visualize the structure of your entire system, right? It's a system architecture, a
Right.
system design round. How well can you
All
visualize
right.
that? That's what we are evaluating you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, great. So, since we're talking about interviews right now, and resumes are an essential part of the hiring process. So can you tell us what is it that is looked for in resumes for this role?
To be very frank, right? As if I'm somebody who's taking your interview, I don't have more than 1 or 2 minutes to look at the resume, right?
All
But
right.
what we generally look for are soft signals, and one of which, or the most important thing that I'm looking for, is the effort that has been put by the candidate in his resume.
Right.
And why is that important? Because I think resume is the first thing that you give us, right? So for the company, for the
Yeah.
recruiter, for the interviewer, it's your first impression. And if you're sloppy, if you're made mistakes, if the formatting is not right, if it's not aesthetically pleasing, we generally tend to
Right.
have that bad impression that maybe the candidate is not interested or he's not professional enough. Generally, that's a soft
Right.
signal that our brain perceives from that. So some things that people should be very careful about is that since we only have 1 or 2 minutes, what generally stands out is if there have been mistakes, right? If there are typos or grammatical errors, those stand out
Right.
very quickly when you're just glancing through something. So those are a big turn off. Another thing is when people send it out as a document, as a Word doc, right? The problem is formatting gets messed up from one system to another. It might be working totally fine on yours, but on my system, it's totally messed up. So that
Right.
again leaves a bad or a negative impression. So
Right.
I think somebody should, and since it's something that you gotta do once, and you're gonna send it out to all the companies,
Yeah.
I would really recommend to people that spend some time on your resume, read it, proofread it, ensure that formatting everything is right, convert it into PDF, and then please send it. Right? That's
Right.
from an overall structure point of view. Right? Now coming to the content,
Yeah.
um, what should the content be in a resume? Um, no, yeah, I don't have a nice way of putting this, so I'll put it as it comes to my mind, and
Yeah. Sure.
it is the way I would put it is it's not a Scrum update, it's not a team meeting where you're giving all your details. So
Yeah.
you should avoid writing several paragraphs of mundane stuff, right?
Right.
That you have written code, you have written test cases, you have done testing. I mean, if you're applying for an SDE, all those things are given. right?
right,
Write that just maybe as one liner, but what should really be in your resume is the work that you have done, your achievements, right? What makes you stand
right.
out from the other resumes that we are looking? Everybody writes code, everybody writes test cases. What is so special about what you have done? So I
Yeah,
think the focus should be not on the quantity, how much you're writing, but those few words or those few lines which really stand out compared to other candidates.
right, right. Right. So now I'm sure that a lot of people would want to know how should candidates prepare for such a role, like for this role, and what are the areas that they should focus on, or any tips or resources?
Um, so and this is where I can give you based on my own experience, because I have not come from computer science background, right? So when I go through an interview process, it's a
Right.
total it's something where I start from zero every time. And what has always been something that I think helps you out is understanding the fundamentals in a really nice way, right? It's not about how many
Right.
questions you have practiced, but it's about that firstly you get your fundamentals right? You understand uh, why you're using a particular data structure or why you're using a particular
Yeah.
algorithm. Have that grasp, and then when you go and practice, right, you got to think of applying these um, whatever things you have learned, these fundamentals, got to apply it on the problems that you're solving. I think the good
Right.
thing by doing it this way is that it doesn't help you just with the interviews, but it also helps you on the job, right? Having the
Yeah.
fundamentals will help you on the job as well. So
Yeah.
I think for data structures, for algorithms, um, uh, there are a lot of material online. Something like Geeks for Geeks is where you can go to have a understanding of the concepts,
Right.
right? With what different data structures are, what are the different algorithms, those sort of things.
Yeah.
um, right, again with then if you move to things like HLD, I would again say you got to focus on the basics, right, which are
Yeah.
learning the concepts. What is sharding, what is replication, what is hashing, what is consistent hashing, all those sort of
Right.
whatever different things are there, you got to understand that.
Yeah.
Once you have these basic fundamentals in place, yes, then go and practice, right? So I think that would be the right approach. um,
Right.
and my personal suggestion is this, right? If people follow it this way, the chances of them succeeding in their interviews as well as in their jobs, the chances are going to be a lot higher compared to just practicing in an ad hoc way.
Right. Right. So we've talked about how to prepare for this role and what the interview process looks like. But I think in the end, it all just boils down to how you perform in the interviews, like
Mhm.
how your performance could make or break your application. Can you tell us what are some common mistakes that you've seen that candidates have been making in so many years of your experience, and any tips on how they can avoid them?
Okay. um, I think first thing is what I've seen a lot is where people candidates have this conflicting thinking, where they have read online or they have heard from other people that you got to keep communicating, right? um,
Right,
we do expect that, yes, we do want you to communicate with us, but we also understand that you need a minute or some time to think and come up with a solution. So I have
right,
seen this many a times where right from the second I've given them the question, they start trying to communicate with you even though they are fuzzy, or even they have no idea about how to proceed. So the
yeah,
idea behind why we say for you to communicate with us is, say for example, I know you have three approaches to solve a particular problem, right? That's when we
yeah,
want to hear you out. We want to hear you, we want to communicate with you, we want to know what are the trade-offs, what are the pros and cons that you're considering on choosing a
right,
particular solution, right?
yeah,
But if you don't have a solution in your mind, if you're still forming it, yes, so you want to take your time, that's completely fine with us. So tell us, right? I
right,
just tell the interviewer that I need a minute, let me think, and we'll start talking afterwards. That's totally fine.
right,
If you need that minute, right? As a first thing. Second thing that I see a lot of time people make this mistake is they do not do a dry run of their code. So they are just
right,
um, they have written it, and they immediately tell that, hey, I'm done. uh, Generally that's not a good approach. Once you are finished, you got to do a dry run. um,
yeah,
right, take some input, take some sample examples, and run through your code and ensure that your code is doing what you think it does. Many a times we miss
right,
things. um,
yeah,
Something else would be where I would say where people miss this out a lot is any assumptions or shortcuts that you're taking. Uh, Tell it to your interviewer, right? Don't just assume
Right.
that we know whatever you're doing. Hey, I'm thinking XYZ. Let us know. Or I'm assuming that, for example, right? I'm assuming that a database call is going to take 100 milliseconds. Tell
Yeah.
that out aloud to us, so we know what your thinking process is. Yeah, I
Right.
think that's it.
Okay, great. So, but how does a candidate, like, how does he or she make sure that they are not making these mistakes? Like, how does one prepare or practice for such interviews?
I think the best way is to put yourself on the line, right? Put yourself under that pressure. The one
Right.
thing that is, no matter how much you practice, what you cannot get is that real, the pressure or the feeling that you get when you're when you're in a real interview. So I would suggest to
Right.
people, um, however, right, whether it's they have a friend or somebody with whom they can have like a mock interview format. Um, um, they just
Right.
go through that, they do that process, so they know how well they perform under pressure.
Right. Okay. So, but do mock interviews really help? Like, how do they help?
One thing is, as I said, it helps you to know how you perform under pressure. You might know everything, but a lot of people have that default. They don't do well when they are under pressure. Right? So
Right.
going through that process will help them to know where they are, what they can do. That's the
Right.
first thing. Second thing that I think that helps you, uh, when you go through a mock interview process is, one of the two things, right? If you're good in what you're doing, that's the feedback you get, and it boosts your confidence when you're going for the actual interview. Or if there are areas of weakness, those are being called out, and you can work on them and you can
Right.
improve them before you go for the actual interview. And considering most of the
Right.
companies have a cool off period of 6 months, right? So if if you have not completed the process successfully now, you can't apply for another 6 months. I think it's a
Yeah.
pretty good return on the investment that people do in mock interviews, that they don't have to wait those 6 months again to apply. Do the mock interviews, get
Right.
yourself prepared, know all your strengths and weaknesses, and then go for the real interview for the companies.
Yeah. Right. Right. So nowadays, due to COVID, interviews are being conducted online.
Mhm.
So, do you have any special tips that the candidate should keep in mind for virtual
Yes.
interviews?
Yes. So this has happened a few times with me, when I was taking interviews for Amazon. Um,
Right.
if you are trying to Google or trying to get help from somewhere else, even in a virtual interview, even if your camera is not on, we will
Yeah.
know, right? Um, we will know a difference in where a candidate has been struggling, and within a minute he comes up with this perfectly written code. We know that he has gone somewhere to get help. That,
Right.
I think, that should not be done. um, we don't tell it to you on your face that, hey, I know that you're getting help from somewhere, but we do
Yeah.
know that it's there. And we have had cases where we have permanently blacklisted people just because they don't have this integrity, or ethics of being honest in an
Right.
interview. So that's my suggestion, please don't do that. We'll
Right.
know that.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, lastly, to conclude, what are some final tips that you would give all the candidates who are aspiring or preparing to enter the software development field or to work at Amazon?
See, one thing, that at least in good product companies, is the recruiter and the interviewer, we all want you to succeed. um, we
Right.
want you to join the firm, right? So
Yeah.
if you are in a situation where, say for example, you have given a certain date that I'm going to give the interviews on a certain date, but you feel that you're not still well prepared, instead of coming for the rounds then and wasting your time as well as the panel's time, it's absolutely fine that you call your recruiter, you tell that, hey, I'm not prepared, can you extend this? Let's do it a couple of weeks later, and they would be more than happy to do that, right? We would
Right.
always prefer that you do it later, but well prepared, rather than just going through the process because you have given a date. So
Right.
just don't hesitate in rescheduling things if you're not comfortable or if you're not happy with your preparation.
Right. Okay. Great, great. Thank you so much, Nishit, for sharing that with us. I'm sure it was very insightful, and I'm sure it will be really helpful for all the candidates who are preparing right now. And yeah, thank you so much. It was really great talking to you.
Thanks, Rutuja. Thanks for your time as well, and thanks for hearing me out.